Triumph Tower, second floor lounge. Mr. Rhys, are you hurt? As soon as Dustin stepped through the door, Natasha Harmon rushed to greet him, her beautiful eyes filled with concern. I'm fine. Dustin shook his head. Those twin assassins have been dealt with. What are you planning to do next? Those two were trusted enforcers of Edwin Hummer. Now that they've both died suddenly, I suspect he's on high alert. We'd better hold off for now, or we might provoke him into desperation, Natasha replied. She hadn't yet reached the point of a complete falling out with Edwin Hummer. Teaching him a lesson and making him back off was the best strategy for the moment. All right, it's your call. Dustin didn't press further. Oh, right, Mr. Rhys. During this time, you'd best stay low. I just received word that Trevor's brother, Travis Spanner, has returned. He's already scouring the city, hunting for the killer, Natasha said, face turning grave. Civilians don't fight with officials. Travis Spanner held the position of deputy commander in the war district, someone even she had to tread carefully around. Thanks for the warning. I'll handle it. Dustin nodded calmly. A deputy commander held power over life and death in his domain. To ordinary people, he was like a god. But Dustin wasn't so easily intimidated. Meanwhile, at the Spanner family estate, Travis Spanner sat silently before a coffin, eyes closed, deep in thought. Outside the living room, members of the Spanner family knelt in rows, heads bowed. No one dared to speak. The atmosphere was suffocating. Trevor Spanner had died a sudden and violent death. The traitor Mason Spanner had vanished without a trace. The killer was still at large. The entire Spanner family was under immense pressure. General! We have a lead! A lieutenant rushed in at that moment. Who is the killer? Travis opened his eyes, the air around him turning murderous. We're not sure who the killer is yet, but I've found people connected to him, the lieutenant reported. Speak. Based on our investigation, before Trevor died, 2 people visited the Dre Group, Dahlia Nicholson, president of Allure Group, and President Hunter Anderson of the Swinton Chamber of Commerce. You're saying the killer knows them? Yes. Especially Dahlia Nicholson. She's key to everything. Edward was crippled because of her. She definitely knows who the killer is, the lieutenant said with certainty. That's right. That vixen is to blame, cried Edward Spanner, kneeling nearby. She had a tough guy at her side. He's definitely the one who killed my father. Assemble the troops. Go arrest them immediately. Travis slammed his hand on the table and roared. I don't care who the killer is. If anyone dares to kill a Spanner, I'll wipe out their entire family. Dusk. A traditional-style restaurant. To celebrate the launch of Dahlia Nicholson's new company, the Nicholson family had set up a banquet. Big sis, here's to you. Wishing your career prosperity and a meteoric rise. James, her younger brother, raised a glass with a wide grin. Everyone echoed the toast with flattering smiles. Dahlia, your company just started, right? You must be short on staff. My niece just graduated. Can you bring her in? Someone asked. Hey! Now that you mention it, I've got a cousin who just quit his job. He has 8 years of admin experience. Make him an executive, and he'll definitely be a great help. A few glasses in, the women got even more animated. Hiring is handled by HR. I usually don't interfere. But if your recommendations are truly outstanding, passing the recruitment process shouldn't be an issue. Dahlia responded diplomatically. Nepotism was a company killer. She tried to avoid it as much as possible. Of course, if push came to shove, she could arrange some harmless position. Dahlia, I heard Mr. Rhys is getting real close to Miss Harmon. If you won't help us, we'll just ask him, someone suddenly said. Humph. Who does Mr. Rhys think he is? Just a pretty face. He's not even worthy to carry my sister's shoes. James scoffed. Exactly. What good is a useless man like him? You think he can influence Miss Harmon? Dream on. Florence, another relative, added with disdain. Bringing up that loser? What a buzzkill. But I heard he was invited on stage at today's launch ceremony. Someone argued. So what? He didn't even say a word. Just stood there looking foolish. Exactly. He's just riding on Miss Harmon's coattails. Once she gets bored of him, he'll be tossed aside like trash. Everyone nodded in agreement. Right. Someone like Miss Harmon would never really fancy someone like Mr. Rhys. At best, he was just a passing amusement. Once she tired of him, he'd be worth less than a penny. Real strength comes from your own ability. People who rely on women to climb up, what good are they? A real talent is someone like Chris Nolan. James raised his glass and gave Chris a thumbs up. Chris's eye twitched slightly, his expression awkward. In the past, he would have sneered at the mention of Mr. Rhys. But after seeing Dustin's power earlier today, he had to admit, there was more to that man than met the eye. All right, enough. Let's eat. Dahlia interrupted, changing the subject. She didn't want to hear anything about Dustin or Natasha Harmon. Because every time she thought of them chatting and laughing together, her chest tightened inexplicably. Quick! Surround the place! Don't let anyone leave! Suddenly, shouts came from outside. The next moment, the private room's door burst open with a loud bang! A squad of fully armed soldiers stormed in, their murderous aura sending chills down everyone's spines. Who is Dahlia Nicholson? The leading officer stepped forward, his eyes sharp as blades. Everyone was stunned as a group of armed soldiers suddenly swarmed in. For a moment, the whole room was filled with confusion and fear. Officer, what's going on? Florence asked nervously. As an ordinary civilian, she had never witnessed such a scene before. Though she hadn't done anything wrong, she still felt uneasy. I'm asking you, who is Dahlia? The officer demanded, his tone sharp and menacing. I am. Dahlia slowly stood up, feigning composure. May I ask, officer, what this is about? According to reliable intelligence, you've colluded with foreign enemies and are an infiltrator planted by the Western powers. You are now required to come with us for investigation, the officer declared loudly. Colluding with the enemy? A traitor? Everyone was dumbfounded by the accusation. What was this madness? Dahlia was a native of Swinton, born and raised. There wasn't a single questionable detail about her background. Even if you traced back 3 generations, her ancestors were all honest farmers. How could she possibly be a traitor? Officer, you must be mistaken. My daughter is a model citizen. She pays taxes every year, volunteers regularly. How could she possibly betray her country? Florence said in disbelief. Exactly. My sister is innocent. Don't you dare accuse her. James slammed the table, visibly angry. Whether it's true or not, we'll find out during the investigation, the officer replied coldly. What's there to investigate? We can all vouch for her. That's right. There's no way Dahlia is a traitor. Everyone stood up in support. They knew Dahlia's character well. She might use some shrewd tactics in business, sure, but colluding with foreign powers? Impossible. I'm following orders. Anyone who interferes will be charged as an accomplice, the officer snapped. You dare? James glared. Do you know who we are? If you touch a single hair on my sister's head, I'll make sure you're dismissed by tomorrow. Humph. Dahlia is guilty of treason. Evidence is conclusive. Anyone who tries to stop us must be part of the same gang. Arrest them all. Anyone who resists, shoot on sight. With the officer's order, the soldiers all raised their guns. Those cold, black muzzles filled the air with a chilling pressure. In an instant, the entire room fell silent, paralyzed with fear. You all! James opened his mouth to argue but was stopped by Dahlia's raised hand. Everyone, don't panic. This must be a misunderstanding. Once they investigate, they'll release us, the officer merely sneered. Whether it was a misunderstanding, they would decide that. Take them all! With another order, everyone was forcibly escorted into military vehicles. 20 minutes later, the vehicles came to a stop at the entrance of the Spanner family villa. Officer, aren't we supposed to be assisting with an investigation? This doesn't look like a government facility, Florence asked cautiously. Enough talking. Get inside. The officer wasn't interested in explaining and forced the group into the villa. As they entered the courtyard, a sense of dread filled the air. White funeral banners and mourning flags hung on both sides of the entrance. A large white character for condolences was clearly visible. Directly across from the door stood a coffin. A portrait of Trevor Spanner stared back at them. Trevor? Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. Dahlia, however, began to feel uneasy. She suddenly realized they had walked straight into a trap. "Are they all here?" a booming voice asked. As everyone stood frozen in confusion, a tall, burly man strode forward confidently. His imposing aura and piercing gaze made it hard to breathe. "General, all the targets have been brought in," the officer reported. The man nodded and looked around slowly. "I'm Travis Spanner, from the Western War Zone. I currently hold the rank of general. Some of you may have heard my name." "Travis Spanner? A general?" Gasps of shock spread through the crowd, especially Chris Nolan. His face was pale with fear. Others might not know, but he was well aware of how terrifying generals from the Western War Zone could be. Anyone who rose to that rank had experienced countless battles and held real power. To put it bluntly, even the three major powers of Swinton would have to show deference to this man. In this world, money and status are nothing compared to power. The wealthy might not have power, but the powerful always have wealth. And standing before them was a man who had both. And his power was military power, the most fearsome kind. With just one word, he could fabricate any charge and execute someone on the spot. Such as treason. "I won't waste your time. I'll ask just one question. Cooperate, and you may live. If not, you'll be charged with treason," Travis said coldly. "General, we'll fully cooperate with the investigation," Florence stammered, her legs already trembling. The pressure Travis exuded was simply overwhelming. "Good. Now tell me, was my younger brother Trevor's death related to any of you?" Travis asked. Everyone's faces went pale. "No! We have nothing to do with it. We don't know anything." "That's right. We're innocent." "General, there must be a mistake. We had no involvement in Trevor's death." People frantically shook their heads in denial, terrified. Admitting involvement would be a death sentence. "Oh, really?" Travis gave a cold smile. Instead of arguing, he waved his hand. "Edward, come meet these people." "Coming!" Edward Spanner limped out of the house. When his gaze landed on Dahlia, his expression turned from greedy to vengeful. Now that he was a cripple, even the most beautiful woman before him couldn't stir anything within him. If he couldn't have her, he'd destroy her. His face twisted with hatred. "Uncle! That's her, Dahlia! She's definitely involved in my father's death." Then he turned sharply to Chris Nolan and shouted. "And this guy too! He's had conflicts with me before. He must be suspicious too."
And just can't accept it. This can't be the end yet. You promised to never leave, and now you're gone. Can't believe I can feel the world slipping away as you slowly fade from my everyday. You promised forever, a love without end, but now I'm left broken, struggling to mend. I thought we were so tight, destined for a lifetime, love with no end, love with no end. Staying in my imagination, memorizing the past time, the secrets, the love, the care. Now they're echoes in the air. I still see your face in every place, feel your warmth, your gentle grace. But now there's just an empty space, and I'm lost in this endless chase. Keeping you in my heart, a piece of you I'll never let go. Though distance brings separation, in my heart you'll always glow. I just can't